Hi, guys. My name is Gonçalo, as Kurt presented, and I was going to bring to you kind of like a talk similar to what Neville was presenting about like EVM traps and how the solidity, like there's a lot of mistakes coming from like dubious things about like the compiler and the EVM itself and how they mix and match and like create problems there. But over the last couple of weeks, I had a lot of, like not awful but not good interactions with clients, and also we put out a new product called Turn, and people were very opinionated about our code. People were teaching us how to do security, and so I thought that like since our crypto overlords gave us that present, I thought I could compile top 3 of things that you shouldn't do when you're building your DeFi protocol. But by show of hands, this is less focused on security. I think the crowd here is like very security conscious and like it works in security. But a show of hands, like who's actually developing on DeFi? Okay, dope. So I have a crowd. That's good. In addition to that, I have a last point today, specifically geared towards the security community and specifically about Turn and how we went down. The first point is don't hide. If you're building a DeFi protocol, please don't hide. And what I mean by this is this. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with flips and flops and bits and wads and and what I mean by don't hide in this first part, in this first advice is don't obfuscate. Like the more you obfuscate, the harder it will be for people like me, like us, like all the people that work in security to actually look at your code. I also think this is timely because like another type of obfuscation, we were all talking about like TrueFi's presentation before, and that's also a form of obfuscation. Like if your code is not readable, then it's not auditable, and if it's not auditable, it's less secure. The more eyes you have on something, the more secure it'll be. Like simple correlation, like linear. Also, another thing that we see a lot, people like folders and files and like tiny little files with just like one definition and one little interface. And I like organized stuff as well, but like what that usually means when we open up your project and start auditing is this. This is the this is the call. Mind you, this is a tiny section of one of the projects that we audited. This call graph is actually huge. It wouldn't fit any screen. This is what it looks like when we get the code and we have to look at it. Again, let me reiterate. If the code is, you all repeat with me, if the code is not readable, the code is not auditable, and therefore less secure. We should but both, and I feel that this is an effort that we could do as well, like on the education side, and that's why I changed my presentation at the last time, because I really think this is really important. But it's also an effort on your side. Just like think about what's going to happen when we get the code. Think about like the people that are actually going to protect your protocol, how you can make their lives easier. This brings me to another like pet peeve of mine, which is like the diamond standard, which contributes a lot to this. Okay, so we get here is like, so we don't want obfuscation, and I get it. Like people, we want to go forward and we want to innovate and we want to create standards and frameworks so that people can develop easier and faster. But some things are just not needed at all, which brings me to my second point. Don't backdoor your code. Please, it's a disservice to everyone, to you, to us, to what I mean by don't backdoor is like, and we don't need to read all of these, but this is a conversation from 2020 on GitHub talking about the diamond standard and like how it's meant to be upgradable, right? And Leonardo keeps saying that like to him Uniswap is great because it's not upgradable or centralized, and like the rebuttal to this is like, but the upgrade functionality can be removed in a diamond, making a diamond immutable. And the answer to that is like, but why? Why is it there in the first place? The upgrade functionality can also be removed by not using it in the first place. We arrive at this comment of mine where I fully agree with Leonardo, and if you see there, there's a lot of off-chain mechanisms that you can use to achieve the exact same end result, which more often than not turn your protocol into a more secure protocol. You know, like, and the reason for this is, does anybody remember this? Does anybody remember Etherdella? Like, it had many problems, but that, oh my God, you don't need upgradable anything. You just go there and you choose the version of the contracts that you want to use. Isn't this upgradable? It works. Like, it's not the contracts are immutable. You know that whatever's going to happen, your money is in a smart contract system that will not be changed. You might use a different one on the front end, but like, you're sure that it's immutable, right? Therefore, more secure. If it's been deployed for a while, if it hasn't been hacked, then there's a higher chance that it's unhackable, right? The reason why I say backdoor, and like, obviously I'm being caustic and I'm ranting, and this is exactly what the presentation was for, but this is a good example. Like, BZX had had permission functions, like a lot of admin stuff. Private keys got stolen. Everybody's in a bad place. Like, there's very, and I'm meant to be caustic, and I will fight you on this, but please meet me outside and let's have a conversation. We'll also have a panel today, but I'll definitely fight you on this. I don't think that half of the times anything related to upgradability is needed. And the third point, which is like, don't compromise. With security, the more you do, the better it is. You know, like, you don't have to think that like, this tool is not for your code, or that tool is not for your code, or that because you do formal verification, you don't need an audit. That's not the way things work. The more you do, the better it is. You know, like, I made this a while ago, and I tweeted it out specifically for Diligence products, but this can be generalized for all the products out there, all the security products. They have specific times, like, they all work in tandem to make your code more secure. Sometimes they're not made for the specific development lifecycle timeline that you're in, right? But it will be for you. All these tools, everything, right? From like, you should start with the static analysis, and then like maybe do a little bit of like formal verification, then have an audit at the end. All of these things mix and match, right? Like, simple things, like the tool that Joran from our team wrote, for example, a mutation testing tool to actually see if your tests are good enough, right? Or like to analyze in a simple way how good you are at writing tests. Most of the people that come to us don't use this. Like, it's free, it's out there, and like, you shouldn't have to pick and choose, right? Another good example is this, is the fact that like, and MakerDAO is really good at this. Like, they really use formal verification the right way, and Certora obviously, but like, there is a place and time for everything. You don't need to choose. You need to do it all. Maybe it's not for you right now. Maybe it's not even for the funding stage that you're in, but it will be. And use everything. The more you use, the more secure things will get. And it's better for everyone. My extra point is, don't bloat. And what I mean by this is exactly coming from a lot of the rough messages that I got about the Turn platform, where people were trying to tell me what it should have been and what it should say and what it should be. And mind you, what I'm about to say, I realize how it's gonna sound. And the disclaimer to that is that I really know that like, there's a lot of reentrancy attacks in DeFi, you know, like just a bunch of millions. Like, I get it, guys. But please stop using this modifier. Like, this is everywhere. You don't need to bloat your code with like unneeded security measures. And this is actually bringing me to the point of people thinking that Turn was this and that and it had vulnerabilities. No, a vulnerability, functionality is king. You know, like, you don't just like cram things that you deem make your code more secure with absolutely zero intent, you know? Sometimes you don't need a non-reentrant function. The function can have reentrancy. Sometimes reentrancy is good, you know? Like, you don't need to slap this everywhere. Neither did we. Like, sometimes, and people got like really phased about like the malleability thing in Turn. It was reviewed prior to launch. And even though like it led to a little bit of bad UX, it wasn't a vulnerability, you know? Like, sometimes you really don't need a lot of these things. I'll also fight you on this. And that is the end of the talk, guys. More than happy to talk to you afterwards. Come talk to me, find me outside, and at the panel, I'm sure we'll discuss some of these things.